So in this video on the opportunity functionality within Microsoft Dynamics 365 for Sales, we're going to cover off the extent to which you can customize the opportunity record. Now, not explaining how to customize, I'm just trying to give a feeling for how much you can customize. And the reason being that I think a lot of people's opportunity management isn't terribly well configured for what they're doing. And when we sort of look at the potential benefits of opportunity management around the things we've talked about in previous videos, for example, better visibility of future business, helping sellers sell more, control of the opportunity, and being able to sort of become more efficient in the delivery of the end product or service. If you don't have that opportunity record set up right, then you won't achieve those benefits. Now, this is one of the series we're doing specifically on opportunity functionality within Dynamics. You can see links to others in the series below. Also, if you've got suggested content ideas or you need any help with Microsoft Dynamics, please see the links below. So let's go into the system and let's look at an opportunity record. As I say, I just want to give a flavor of the extent to which it can be customized. So at the top here, we've got this top bar. Now, this has got sort of this is an out-of-the-box record, by the way. I might have added the odd field here and there, but it's pretty much out of the box. And I'd have to say that pretty much nobody should be using an out-of-the-box opportunity record. And over the years, I've talked to lots of people, and sometimes they said, "Well, we've got, our process is the same as everybody else's." It's never been the case. Everybody's opportunity processes are different to some extent or another. And the out of the box is not going to fit that. So you always have to tweak or tune to some extent to support your specific opportunity process. Now, in the top part out of the box here, I've got this top bar with actually some of the core fields in. I really don't like this particularly, simply because it's awkward to edit it. Unlike other areas, you just need to go into the field. I can't go into the field, I can't update that field. I have to go into this down arrow to the right of it, and then I can update the field. Also, I think the eyes draw more to the center of the screen rather than the top right corner, so I think people tend to miss that key information. I think probably the best way of setting that up is if you have that field also within the data capture area below, and you can update either, and that's probably the best way of doing that. And then we've got this sales process bar. Now, this is the out-of-the-box system, so it's got my various sales stages depicted here: qualify, which is the one I'm in at the moment, and then the future states of develop, propose, and close. Now, within each of these, I've got a set of questions the system's expecting me to, a set of fields the system's expecting me to update. So you can see the ones for develop, see the ones for propose, etc. Now, we can change the stages. We don't have to have qualified, develop, propose, close. We can have the stages set up to reflect how you operate. And obviously we can have the field capture within that set up really to capture the information that you need to capture. We can also make, none of these fields are mandatory to the extent that we can make it mandatory to fill out a field before you move from one stage to another stage. So then if we move into the sort of core of the form itself, we've got the data capture requirements on the left hand side here. In fact, if you scroll down, we've got more detail there. Now, these data capture requirements need to be set up really to support your objectives in terms of what you're using opportunity management for. You can have as many fields as you want, but you really want to, they could take up the whole of this screen. We could add fields onto additional tabs appearing across the top here if we wanted to. But the aim really is to try and get the minimum number of fields in order to achieve your objective for the system. You don't want your sellers filling out loads and loads and loads and loads of fields because they probably won't be very inclined to do it. So you really want to get about to try and keep it tight as possible. If you've got fields on there that people aren't filling out, that you don't really expect them to be filling out, don't put them on there, just get rid of them. So that's the data capture element. I've got an up next area here, which spells out any upcoming activities that are scheduled. That's probably useful in most cases, but if you're not doing much activity management around your opportunities, it may not be required. We've got a timeline. Probably is something I would keep. Obviously, you can move that around on the screen. It doesn't have to be here in this central area. I've got an assistant. So this is something that's used to capture, to display something called insight cards that the system has. So for example, if I'm approaching an estimated close date, or I've gone beyond an estimated close date, it will display those insight cards for me. I will do a separate video on insight cards. I'm not hugely convinced by them, though I suspect they do have potential uses in some cases. So again, I think that's an area for potentially removing. And then we've got stakeholders. So it's really saying with the customer we're selling to, who's going to be making the decision. Now that probably works if you've got multiple people involved and you want to track those, but if it's a more simple decision-making process with one person, for example, you don't necessarily need that area. And we've got a sales team area as well, which is to track your own sales team who's involved. Well, if it's only a single seller involved, that again isn't required. You've got an area here to track competitors, potentially useful information, but obviously you need to have your competitors set up in the system to be able to make that useful. So again, that's a bit of a judgment call whether that helps you or not. And then if we go into the tabs up here, we've got the ability to track individual product lines. Now, for some organizations, just don't want to track individual product lines, so we can just get rid of that tab if that is the case. If you do want to track individual product lines, then obviously that area can be tailored as well to your specific needs if that doesn't quite deliver it out of the box. We've got a quotations area. You may or may not want to do quotations from the system. I'd say probably most people don't. So again, it's an area that can be removed if needed. Again, if you do want it, you can customize it. And then finally here we've got the files area. So if you want to store files, it's got an associated piece of functionality allowing you to store files within SharePoint. That may or may not be your preferred means of storing documents. So again, you could remove that if you wish to. If you go back to your opportunities area, we've got all of these data views. You've got a series of system views. So we've got all opportunities, closed opportunities, lost opportunities. These come with the system itself, but they are all entirely tailorable. So in summary, you can pretty much change any part of the system, and that's not complex to do. It's all managed through configuration tools in the back end, or it's something your administrator or your implementation partner can deliver on quite quickly, quite easily. So if you're serious about getting real value from your opportunity management in your system, it's really worth thinking about trying to tune that configuration to support what you're trying to do a little bit better. Anyway, hopefully that explains some of the options that you've got available to you around customizing opportunities. As I say, it's one of the series we're doing specifically on opportunity functionality. Please see the links below for others in the series. Also, if you need any help with Dynamics or you've got any suggested content ideas, there's links for that below as well. Anyway, thanks very much for your time today and hopefully see you again soon.